Hi, Rupert. This is Matthew. I've been not travelling too well the last few days, and it's getting longer and longer in between when you requested this and when I've done it. I can't promise this will be half an hour, depending how I am, but I will say the points, the 9 points, and give them enough description for you to understand what they are. So, for those who are listening, this is a prophetic blueprint. It's like an in-depth look at some of the things you're meant to achieve in your life. You may be a Christian for years and years and never know specifically what you're meant to do. These are 9 things that Rupert is meant to do, and I encourage you to investigate and request your own prophetic blueprint. There's information down below about the blueprints. There's a video about what they're about. There's a playlist of other blueprints I've done, and there's the price it costs, and there's the web address that you can go to order one for yourself. So God bless. Rupert, the first thing I see is you're going to be a forerunner in things, bringing breakthrough in many things. So I'll give you an example. I was a forerunner. I was the first person in the world to supply the ability for people to request a prophecy via email on the internet. I was one of the first, or probably the first person in the world. When Facebook came out, there was a thing called Facebook groups, and I was the first one to offer prophecy for people via Facebook groups. That group still exists today, run by someone else called Personal Prophecy Group. One of the first people in the world to interview saints from heaven, and probably the most prolific at it, and interviewed the most saints. So a forerunner is something new that the Lord does through a person, and perhaps you've done 1 or 2 new things already, but I see the Lord speaking to you and leading you to do things new in the world. You've got to have some internal guts. You've got to have fortitude in your stomach, whatever it's called. You've got to have spiritual fortitude to be able to go forth and go direct at doing something for the Lord. And there's really nothing wrong with offering to do prophecies for free, but when you start charging people for prophecies, you get a lot of flack. So point number 2, like I said, this might not be half an hour, but I'll try and describe each point sufficiently. Number 2 is you're going to be known for radical obedience. I sense that you've already done some things. You've already obeyed the Lord for many years, and you've got this radical obedience. You've got this relationship with the Lord where you obey Him, and you radically obey Him. I feel that in years to come, in coming years, you're going to be a teacher of people. You're going to model your own life. You're going to teach people how to obey like you. You're going to have classes, maybe even books, where you teach people how to live a radically obedient life. And I can see you sharing many stories and many examples of how you radically obeyed, and sharing the story of how you did so, what you were faced with, what the Lord told you to do and the outcome of your radical obedience. And I feel that you're going to teach people and inspire people to start to radically obey the Lord. And I hope that you understand that. I have a feeling, I have a sense that you've already done some major things and some major radical obedience. If there was just one thing for you to do in your life, this would be sufficient to radically obey the Lord and then teach people and disciple people and mentor people into a form of radical obedience to the Lord. And this is going to be very helpful for people in the coming days as things get darker, as life on earth gets more difficult. It's going to be essential that people start to radically obey the Lord. And so I encourage you to continue to radically obey the Lord, and even keep a journal and keep detailed notes about your experiences and how you radically obeyed, and all the details of how you obeyed, and all the details about how the actual result, how it resulted in what it did. Number 3, I can see you, the words I got from the Holy Spirit is a church planter, but I also saw even home church planter. So it could be that you work with one church and start to plant a whole lot of home groups, start up home groups and plant them. Although you could be used, it's got a dual meaning. You could be used to plant many whole churches. But I can see you also being used to pastor a church. I'm not sure if you're a pastor now. I don't know much about you, but I see this apostolic sort of role in you planting churches, and the Holy Spirit had me share even home church planting would be considered as churches that you could plant. Number 4, teacher of the gifts. I can see you. I don't personally move in all the gifts, but I can see you developing the faith and developing the ability to walk in the 9 gifts of the Holy Spirit. And I can see one of your functions in the future, and it's recorded on this blueprint that the Holy Spirit gave me, is that you become a teacher of the gifts. That you, I've got written here, raising up sons and daughters to walk in the gifts and teach them to teach the gifts. So you duplicate yourself. So first of all, I see you walking in the gifts, being dynamic, being a good example of moving in all the gifts, and then raising up and mentoring and teaching and equipping sons and daughters, people under your authority, teaching them how to move in the gifts, and then teaching them to teach the gifts. So you've got 3 levels that you teach, they teach, and then they've got students that they teach, and effectively raising up teachers of the gifts. Not only raising up people to move in the gifts, but raising up people who effectively move in the gifts and teach the gifts themselves. So you've got 3 levels of understanding that, 3 levels of teaching, and I can see that you probably already move in a number of the gifts. I think I've moved in prophecy, word of knowledge, word of wisdom, discernment of spirits, and tongues and interpretation of tongues. So I've moved in a bit of healing, but not heaps. There's faith and miracles to go. So I can see you developing and becoming more proficient in the gifts of the Holy Spirit, and then becoming a teacher of the gifts of the Holy Spirit. One thing that's lacking in many churches is that 3-level teaching. Sometimes you've got leaders who operate in the gifts and sort of teach the gifts, but I find it very rare in churches for the people that they teach to go on and teach, and we need churches with those 3 levels of teaching. So even the people that teach people, and even those people that they teach go on and teach people. So I hope that you can be used to establish people who not only can learn how to move in the gifts and operate in the gifts powerfully, but also learn how to teach the gifts themselves. Number 5, I sense I got this to start with as point 1, and I didn't put it down because I doubted it. And then when I got up to point 5, Holy Spirit said it again. So I just had to go with it by faith that it is what the Holy Spirit wanted to say. So I got worshiper. I see you learning to worship, being a worshiper, and I see you not only worshiping, but I also see you worshiping and recording music and recording songs and recording forms of worship together. There's a real key component in intimacy that's involved in worship. The closer you are to God, the more intimate you are to God, the better you become as a worshiper, the more effective you become as a worshiper. And so I can see that the Lord will really use you if you're open to it, and the Holy Spirit has been insistent in encouraging me to share this. Like I said, I got it as point 1 and didn't put it down. Then the Holy Spirit brought it back to me. Now, if this isn't you currently, if you don't feel this is true currently, it may be the same distraction the enemy wanted to bring. I'll certainly just put this blueprint on the shelf. I'll put that this section on the shelf and see what manifests in the future. I know that I balked at it to start with, and then the Holy Spirit brought it back. And so I'm pretty confident when the Holy Spirit speaks to me, I'm pretty confident of him speaking. And so I hope that you can understand that, there's part against you hearing this. And it's interesting that the enemy would come against worship, because worship can be a real threat to him. Point number 6 is a teacher and equipper. And I see books and videos. So I'm called as a prophet, but I'm a very big teacher, and I'm used to teach through the 55 books that I have. And I can see you being used similar to me, maybe not 55 books, but I can see you being used to teach. So I can see books are very effective, video is very effective, YouTube is very effective. So I can see you teaching and equipping. So teaching, one thing is good, teaching is good, but if you're able to have books that show people how to do something, not just teach a theory or teach a doctrine, but books that people are able to read and they learn how to actually do something from the book. So I've got a number of books that teach how to do things. I've got prophetic books that teach on the prophetic. I've got books on prophetic evangelism, how to prophetically evangelize. We've got books on how to demonstrate Jesus and witness to people in your day-to-day life. So many of my books are equipping books, and I can see that you're going to be used in that way to teach and equip people, that when they watch your videos, when they read your books, that they'll learn how to actually do something. You could actually teach on the gifts in the books too, and in the videos. You can use videos as almost like a trailer, a trailer for a movie. They use a 3-minute trailer on YouTube for people to watch, and then they go and see the movie. So you can do like a 20-minute teaser on the gifts of the Spirit, which advertise your book. And so you can do smaller videos that talk about a subject and then lead people to actually buy the book. Or you can record the 10 chapters of the book on video, and people can either watch it on video, or they can buy the book, or they can watch the whole video series and then go and buy the book, or they can buy the book and then come and watch the whole video series. So I can see you equipping. Number 7, I can see you counselling. I go to some pretty advanced spiritual counsellors who are dealing with a lot of wounds and troubles and trials that I've been through. I need a lot of help. I need a lot of in-depth counselling and specialist counselling, and I can see you learning how to do that. And not only that, I can see you doing it. I can see you counselling. I can see you teaching other people how to do that. And I can see you raising up an army of people doing spiritual counselling. So I can see quite a number in a vision of people that you've raised up to do spiritual counselling. So I can almost see like a phone line of people ringing in your country, ringing in for counselling. I can see people staffing that phone line and helping people and even giving people a number where they can, that's free talking to and free counselling, but even referring them to a number where they can pay to have really in-depth spiritual counselling. And I can see you learning how to do counselling. Perhaps you already do counselling. I can see you learning to become better and better, teaching it to certain students, to your sons and daughters that you train and equip. And then I can see like a whole army of counsellors being raised up to minister to the glaring needs out there in society. And I can see this being financed by yourself or financed by other people. And I can see the Lord's favour on you as you build this, and Him providing people with abilities to finance it. Certainly the counsellors that you raise up probably cost money for people to pay for the counselling, so they would start their own sort of ministry where they're getting paid to do counselling. All of these points I'll put under the blueprint as I've got them written here in the description tag, where you go down underneath the video and you press see more. Press the see more, and these points will be written out for you to understand. Point number 8, raising up an army of the prophetic. So I can see you training up people how to move in the prophetic. These don't all have to be prophets. It can just be people trained in the prophetic, trained to prophesy. I see you putting a major work into training up a team, training up a group of prophetic people. They're not only taught how to do prophetic evangelism. I've got a book on prophetic evangelism, and you can go and read it. I can see them being raised up as prophetic evangelism teams with 2 or 3 people in each team, just going out in the public, prophesying over strangers. And I can also see you raising up with the counselling, hand in hand with the counselling team, a prophetic team on the internet that offer prophecies on the internet as they cut their teeth, have a free portal, have a free section on the internet where people can get free prophecies, and then a paid prophecy part on the internet with longer prophecies. And I can also see how psychics have phone lines that people ring in and pay $3 a minute for psychic hotlines. I can see, $3 or $5 for 10 minutes, and like a prophetic phone line that people can ring in and get prophetic words. This would, I can see that it would be partial for free, partially like a funnel, the free part becoming a funnel down to further part where people are paid. And I hope, I wouldn't mind talking to you on Zoom and talking further on this one if you can't understand it, because I've got a lot of insight in this, and I feel that I'm going to build it myself personally, something like this, and I imagine that you may want to talk about it, but I hope I've given you enough understanding in what I've said for you to understand. So first of all, you teach people face-to-face how to prophesy, get them prophesying, get them doing prophetic evangelism, raise up people who can be confident to do a prophecy via video or via voice sort of prophecy. And people write in and request a video, and they send out a video of a prophecy, or they send out a voice file with a prophecy, and have that free component. And then also on the free site, say if you want a more extensive one, you can pay a certain amount of money and request an extensive one. Then have the same people doing the free ones to do the more extensive ones that are paid. And hopefully the paid system will allow the finances of everything else. Number 9, I cringe when I say this, because there's so many people walking around with massive egos calling themselves apostles, but I can see you having an apostolic function in many areas. So I feel that you may be called to be an apostle, but I don't like even sharing that with people, because there's so many so-called apostles on the internet, and they don't seem to be smart at all, in my opinion. So that's number 9. I feel that the Lord will call you into an apostolic function. So this was about, I think, 24 or 25 minutes. I had a feeling that it would be short. So I'll have all of these points written in the description tag of the video, and I hope if you need to talk to me, that you can reach out and talk to me. If you watch this and you want a prophetic blueprint, destiny blueprint for yourself, look in the description tag under See More, and it'll show you how to request one. God bless.